In this video, we are reviewing the Oogie Boogie Bash. George, Citrus George, and OG went to Oogie Boogie Bash very, very recently. Had a fantastic time, extremely good time. We're going to break it down, give you our thoughts on everything up next on OG 55. Welcome aboard to another episode of OG 55. In this video, we are reviewing the Oogie Boogie Bash. It was my first time, actually. And I got to say, I have a lot of thoughts on this event. But before we get started, I want to introduce my good, dear friend, my brother, my collaborator, Mr. Citrus George, my fellow Italiano.
Italiano, forget about it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of OG 55, where we're diving into Oogie Boogie Bash. But before we do so, I'll let you know where you can find me on social media. You can find me on Twitter, or also known as X, at Disney George. You could also find me on the podcast called A Walk with Walt. And, of course, you'll find me here on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And thanks for having me on, brother. It's always a good time talking some Disney with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. So let's get the festivities started. I figure I'll do a little spooky drop because we're talking Oogie Boogie. And yeah,
okay. Enough of listening to Brie Larson.
Yeah, right. I know exactly. I was gonna say Brian Roberts from Comcast, but either one, you know.
Either one.
No, but let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so I kind of want to set the table just a little bit with our experience before we kind of dive into it. So we were gonna go to this event with my sister, who is actually a Club 33 member, right? So with the Club 33, she arranged us to have a Disneyland guide with us during Oogie Boogie Bash. Very, very cool. Unfortunately, my sister was unable to make it to the event, so it was just George and I at Oogie Boogie, okay? So this is interesting. So we get to the park, right? And we don't meet the guide until like 3 o'clock at the Grand Cali. Right. So we get there in the morning and we have pretty much the whole day, just me and George. And George and I are having a great time, a really chill kind of kick it time at the resort. I mean, we went to the little snack place over there by the pool at the Grand Cali. We got Italian subs, very on brand for the two Italians, right? We got the Italian subs. We got some beers. We were hanging out, walking around, just kind of enjoying the atmosphere, just chilling. Cool. It was a great time. Now, I've always been honest with my audience, so I want to be completely upfront going into this. At that time, from the time we got to the park until before we met our guide, who was going to take us to Oogie Boogie, I was kind of not nervous, but a little bit like apprehensive about how is this going to play out? Because, you know, if you guys have been watching the channel for a long time, you know, George and I are very, very close. We're family, or we're brothers, you know what I'm saying? So we vibe on each other and we're very, very close. So my thing was like, what's this going to be when you insert like a cast member into the equation? Like an outsider, a stranger, we don't know this person, and they're going to be inserted with the two of us. Is it going to be awkward? Is it going to feel weird? That was kind of my concern going into this. And it was on my mind, like whatever it is, but I just kind of thought it would be an issue. Okay. So 3 o'clock comes around. Okay, we go to the Grand Cali, we check in, and the gal at the desk says, okay, so your guide is Jackie. I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, Jackie. Jackie comes over. Now, I will say this, pretty much from the start when we met Jackie, I was like, okay, because I'm very good at like, it sounds really weird, like hippie, like whatever, but like I'm really good at like sensing people's energy, right? Like, I don't really have to necessarily talk too much to you to kind of get a feel for like what kind of vibe you're giving off. And Jackie, I tell you right now, out the gate, I really liked her a lot. I thought she gave off a lot of great energy, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good. I think, you know, this is gonna be great. I can tell she's got that chemistry, that energy. I'm feeling it. It only got better though as we went on. Believe it or not. I mean, this is an incredible, honestly, top 5 Disneyland experiences I've ever had, and I've been going to the parks for a very, very long time. Hundreds of visits. Top 5. So I want to set that stage. So we did have Jackie, our tour guide, the entire time while we were at Oogie Boogie Bash. Okay. And we're going to kind of go into our experience, and Jackie is very much a part of that experience. Okay. So George, I'll start. Let's kind of dive into this. So we get to DCA. I think it was like around like 4 or 5 o'clock. If I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct. Yes.
Because I think we were doing other things. So we get over there at like 4 about 4 or 5 o'clock. Do you remember what's the first thing that we did over there when we got over there at DCA? Do you remember? Oh, was it
So, okay, so I'm just going to backtrack just a little bit. So for everyone watching, just so you know, there are 2 different types of guides that you can get at Disneyland and or Walt Disney World. You have the typical tour guide that takes you on like the like for instance, like at Epcot, the Behind the Seats tour, or
Right.
the Keys to the Kingdom tour, or a Walk in Walt's Footsteps kind of tour, where they kind of take a group of people and they take you into certain backstage areas and like the behind the scenes and what have you. Then you have the VIP tour guides. Now the VIP tour guides are a little more on the small, like a more personal sense, like where it's like a smaller group where it's just you and the guide kind of and the guide's taking you and like based off of like what your interests are, like if you
Right.
want to meet the characters or if you want to ride the ride, see the shows, they customize the day based off of your needs and wants in the Disney resort. And then really quick too, so we started off in. Oh,
Well, I'm
sorry,
glad. Real quick, I just want to say I'm glad that you made that. I'm glad that you made that distinction, because we ended up having the guide, the VIP tour guide, who joined us and kind of tailored our experience to what we wanted. So that's a great. I'm glad you brought that up, because they are 2 different things. So go ahead, George. I do apologize, sir.
No, you're good, brother. So so Jackie took us over at Disneyland first. She asked us, where we kind of want to start. We suggested let's go over to Disneyland for a little bit because we're going to finish off the night at DCA anyway for the party. And so we went over. We did Indiana Jones Adventure. We did
Haunted
the Haunted
Mansion.
Mansion Holiday, which was actually very interesting because we actually had the stretching room all to ourselves, for which even Jackie didn't even know that was going to happen.
Right.
And I guess that, talk about a VIP experience, that we had the whole entire room to ourselves, even walking into the falling room to board the Doom buggies. So that was an experience in itself.
Yeah, and even Jackie was like, when we were standing there, she's like, "This is new. Like, she's never even done that, So that was kind of a cool little experience. So we go into that room right before the stretching room. It's completely empty. It's just the 3 of us, and then we get loaded into the elevator, the stretching room. Just the 3 of us. It was kind of surreal,
It was, and it was like, wow, because you're so used to having a packed crowd, and it was just like all your expectations just kind of like went out the door with that, because it's
Right.
Okay, now anything can happen. So after the fact we got off of Indiana Jones, we requested that we would like to get maybe some Dole Whips. So Jackie got us the I forget the title of them. It
has like
spicy chili.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the
chili lava.
Right.
Something. I forget what the
it's like the
title.
Mexican like mangonada dessert kind of style, and it was extremely good, by the way. A Dole Whip with that spicy little chili, and they had it was fantastic.
So while we were eating that, that's when we started making our way over to DCA to start the party. Jackie gave us our wristbands and what have you. We got our little guide map for the night's festivities, and even before we entered DCA, we were having a lot of in-depth conversations with Jackie. We were sharing different experiences, Disney knowledge, what have you. And in that moment, it was almost like you kind of forgot for a sense that she was our VIP tour guide, and we were just hanging out with a friend at Disneyland.
we were taking selfies and pictures with Jackie. It really did feel like George is completely right on that. It felt like this is the crazy thing, right? Going into this experience, like I said earlier in the video, I was worried that it was going to feel awkward because we don't know this cast member, and they're inserting themselves into this thing with me and George, and me and George are very close. I'm telling you, very quickly I think probably after the first ride, maybe, I don't even know, maybe even sooner, Jackie became part of the OG crew. Like, I completely forgot she was a cast member. She was a friend.
And so, and really quick, I just want to make a disclaimer, Ott. You are going to hear Jackie's name throughout this video, folks, because she was literally part of our group for the night. It wasn't she was guiding us. She was actually having fun with us.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So I just had to throw that in there.
No, yeah. I mean, we felt like at home with Jackie. Like, we felt like the chemistry between the three of us was through the roof. I mean, I had such a good time, and we were joking. I haven't laughed that hard in so long, and it was just a lot of fun. You know, it was a lot of fun. So yeah, everyone home, you will hear Jackie's name a lot because she was a huge part of this experience, and she she really did go above and beyond. Even like, look, we loved her personality, we loved hanging out with her, but even her cast member guide duties, she was like A++ on all that stuff too. So it was just an all around fantastic.
We literally got the best of both worlds with her,
right.
And I actually told her that. Because I had that Hannah Montana joke, and it was like, okay, I'm the best of both worlds. And then she threw another joke back at me that was referencing Hannah Montana. So she got it. Like, she was able to hang, and that was what was so cool. But when we got into DCA, she arranged a private meet and greet for us to meet Cruella. Yeah. And the Cruella is the live action Cruella, not Glenn Close's live action, but Emma Stone's rendition of Cruella, and that was really fun. Like, the interaction with Cruella, she was joking with us, she was like really into it, you know, she was mocking us for our outfits, and especially Mr. OG 55 here, kind of without even trying, he kind of went as Josh Tomorrow.
Yeah, I actually had, it was kind of funny, I actually did bring like a costume. It was like a suit jacket that was like all these Jack Skellingtons in it, glue in the dark. So I had like khaki like slacks, and then like clean white like Vans, right? And I was gonna wear the Jack Skellington jacket. It was so hot that day though, I'm like, you know what, George? I'm not even gonna wear the jacket. I don't even care. So I just had like a Henley shirt, some khakis, and then the white shoes. So we get to Cruella, and she's making fun of my outfit, right? She's like, "Oh, what are you? What are you?" And I said, I'm Josh D'Amaro.
He actually said that, folks. He actually said that. I did say
it. I said, I'm Josh D'Amaro. And she cracked up. Jackie was cracking up. And then there was the PhotoPass cast member. They were laughing so hard. And it was really funny. It was a funny moment. But that Cruella cast member was so good. And she was vibing with us. She was making fun of like George's like matching and stuff. Like, your shoes don't match with your shorts and this whole thing. And she was just talking a lot of shit. It was funny, dude. It was very funny.
It was great. And again, Jackie also was incorporated in that. She came up with us. She took some pictures.
Yeah.
She was interacting with Cruella. And it was just a good time. And there was no other people around. It was like a private meet and greet. So we didn't feel rushed. You know, we had like that one-on-one time with Cruella. And it was a great way to kick off the Oogie Boogie Bash.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It really was. And again, it felt very natural. Like, we felt like three friends hanging out. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, oh, we're with a tour guide. No, we're with Jackie. She's a homie, you know? Yes. And it just felt very, very just natural and fun. So after that, go ahead. I'll let you kind of take us through it.
So after we met up with Cruella, I believe we went over to, I think it was our first ride on Radiator Springs Racers.
Yeah.
No, I take that back. I'm sorry. We did the Mater's Junkyard Jamboree and the Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters, along with, we actually did all three rides, and then Radiator Springs Racers. And OG and I went on the two smaller rides, just us. Jackie arranged that for us. But then she came on Radiator Springs Racer. So she kind of already like had a thing in mind. It was like, okay, if I'm going to hang, let's like, I'm also going to do some of the stuff I enjoy too. And we like that. It was like, she was like on a fine line between being professional, but also just being a regular down-to-earth human being that's at Disneyland having fun. And it's very hard for a person to do that, especially as a cast member, but she did it very well.
Oh, beautifully. Oh, absolutely. Flawlessly. I'm telling you right now, this is no hyperbole, nothing like Jackie is probably the best cast member experience I've ever had at Disney. And I've been going to the parks a very long time.
I could agree. I actually can agree.
She really did handle that. She was very professional, but at the same time, she felt like she was our friend. It felt like a friend who just happened to be a cast member. It wasn't like this. There was no like. I didn't feel like there was that wall or anything. It felt very organic, and the chemistry was just there. And it's like, look, on the channel here, we deal with this a lot, right? When we have like a guest on. You bring someone on and sometimes you just vibe like crazy and you have all this chemistry together and you're just like, you're bouncing jokes off each other and it just works. And sometimes, hey, you know what? It's not a bad experience, but maybe sometimes you're not vibing as much as like the last guest or whatever. It's just the natural way things go. Jackie, we were vibing. It was like the three of us, we were having a great time. And it was funny because in the Luigi's line, she was making jokes about how we're Italian. And this is some culture for you too, going on to Luigi's with the Italian stuff. Really funny stuff, a lot of jokes. It was a good time.
It really was. And I'm just like you, OG. Like I can feel people out, like their personalities, their characteristics, because then that shows me like how I can react to them. And that's how I was able to feel like I could be myself around Jackie, where it's like, as you said, we could joke around with her and everything, me being my sarcastic self and what have you. And she dishes it right back. Oh, like in a very fun, playful way. She knows how to throw it back at you. So after we did Radiator Springs Racers, we headed over to Pixar Pier, where Jackie and I rode the Incredicoaster. OG sat that one out because it just wasn't for him at the time. But
just say it, George, because I'm a pussy. Is that what you're saying?
OG just wasn't feeling it at the moment.
But we'll come back to that though.
We'll definitely come back to that. Yes, because and I actually learned something about OG that night, and I was I did not know you've never been on the Incredicoaster. No. Like you've been on California Screamin', but you never was on it when it changed over. That freaking blew my mind. Like, so I got to experience your first time on the Incredicoaster, so that was kind of cool. That's later on. Then after the Incredicoaster, we passed through Toy Story Mania was closed down.
It was down.
Believe that. We passed Sid. He was doing his trick or treat trail, and I have to say that the actors they get to portray these facial villains they're spot on. They're phenomenal, which we'll get into that a little bit later too.
Right.
So as we're working our way around I
think it was the Ferris wheel we went on next then, right?
We went on Pixar Palaron, or formerly known as Mickey's Fun Wheel, whatever you want to call it, folks.
So this is funny. So I think Jackie said, hey, do you guys want to go on this, right? And I'm like, see, I'm not like a big thrill person. I'm just not, So I was kind of iffy on it, but I'm like, I can kind of hang with this one. So I asked Jackie, are you going to go on it? And she goes, I'll go on it if it's not the swinging gondolas, right? I think that's what she said. Correct. So I was like, okay, well, yeah, we'll just do the stationary ones then, So all three of us went on that. And it's kind of funny. And I don't think I told you this, George, but like we're sitting in these little gondolas and I'm kind of sweating, I'm trying to keep my cool. I don't want to, I'm sweating. I'm like, we're sitting there and it was you and I right here, like on one side, and Jackie was on the other. And I'm trying not to look down. I'm just focused. Oh, hey, Jackie. So how is it like being a cast member? And have you, I'm trying to get my mind off this thing because I was stressing a little bit, but it wasn't too bad.
And it's kind of funny that you say that. I'm just going to jump just a little bit further before we go back. And you kind of, you did that on Soarin' too. You looked straight down and you said, man, I should not have done that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Soarin' was hilarious. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah. That was funny, dude.
Yeah. So we went on the Pixar Palaron, and then we worked our way around, and then we ended up at Goofy Sky School.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, it was down for a little bit, so Jackie suggested that we go on to the Little Mermaid ride, and then would come back to Goofy Sky School, which we did the Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
And I don't think she went on that one with us. I don't
No, it was just
believe
you
she
and I.
went. Yeah. And so we came off, we met her at the exit. We went back to Goofy Sky School. I'll let you take this one over,
Okay.
OG, to kind of set that up of what happened, because we ended up riding this twice
Yeah.
because there was no line. So Jackie was able to talk to the cast member, and we just stayed on. But something
Yeah.
occurred during the first ride that just made the second ride epic.
So funny. Okay, so Jackie, like I said, the whole time we're talking to Jackie, I mean, we're really talking and we're all vibing and like it's just a really fun time. It was just three friends hanging out basically, right? So she was telling us, like when we were riding the first time, that on one of her tours, you know, she was like, she was sitting on this ride with Goofy Sky School, and like this dad was like asking her all these questions about like school and college and stuff. And she was like, it was kind of funny because you're on that ride, which is a very intense experience, you know what I'm saying? And she's trying to answer these like kind of like these deep questions about like, you know, what do you want to do for the rest of your life after college and all this stuff. And she was like, can this wait? Because it's like this ride is too much and I can't really think, right? So she was telling us that story and we thought it was really, really funny. Okay, so that was the first trip. We went around the attraction and everything. We did the thing. And we pull into the station and Jackie tells the cast member, I think the gentleman's name was Tyler. Yeah. And she goes, Tyler, hey, can we do one more time? She's like, Tyler was like, yeah, I'll hook you guys up. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. We're going to go a second time. We didn't even get out of the car, right? So this time we all decided, you know what, we're going to have some fun here. We're going to ask each other like these life questions or like these questions while we're riding it, you know, because that's what happened to Jackie with that dad, you know, and we're going to see, you know, how this works out. I am telling you, everybody at home, I have never laughed that hard in the longest time. We were cracking up. We're asking each other all these questions, and it was so difficult to answer anything with that ride because that thing really swings you around. You know, it's not easy to answer anything. Your brain is not working at that point.
Yes. So basically, anything is just coming out. It's not even making any sense.
Yeah.
You know, so like we were like throwing questions like, what's your favorite music? You know, who's your favorite, you know, artist? You know, how many kids do you want to have? It was like just different questions we were just coming up with. It was just
and we kind of, the three of us named it the Goofy Sky School Challenge, which is like, hey, it's pretty awesome. I mean, it was fun. It was hilarious where it's like, I might do that again. Like, it was really cool. The funniest part, though, of that whole experience was I don't know who, I think it was Jackie who asked you, like, who's your favorite country singer or something like that? Because Jackie hates country. That's the only music she doesn't like, right? I think that's what she said.
But
I think she was the one who asked you, what's your I don't know. My brain was like scrambled eggs. The ride was too much.
Yeah, it was something like with a country singer. That's all I heard. Yeah.
Right. And it was right before we made the big drop. So it was like, George, what's your favorite country singer? And right before we hit the drop, George goes, Tim. And as we're falling, he goes, McGraw, all the way down. I was peeing my pants. It was so freaking fun. George, you had me on the freaking floor. I was dying. It was so funny. I got off that ride, my sides were hurting. I mean, I haven't had that much fun in I don't know how long. Dude.
And I have to say, that gave me a better appreciation for Goofy Sky School. Because it was a ride, it was just like, man, okay. It was like, if you have time, do it. But doing this experience with Jackie and coming up with this kind of kooky challenge, which I challenge anybody to do the Goofy Sky School challenge.
It's harder than it sounds, believe me. Ask each other questions that you have to really think about while the ride is going. It's extremely difficult. But this kind of comes to the core of like the Disney experience, right? Disneyland, Disney parks are very much not so much about the physical attractions. I mean, that's an element of the equation, but Disney parks are very much rooted in who you go with. So when we were with Jackie, the experience with Jackie, even though I've been to Disneyland a bajillion times. Like I'm kind of like, I've had an annual pass since 2002 and I go once a month. So do the math. That's a lot of visits, you know? So I'm kind of desensitized to a lot of the attractions. With her, she brought so much fun into the equation. It was like new again to me, you know? Like I haven't had that much fun on Goofy Sky School and God knows how long, if ever, you know? And so it really does matter who you go with and who you have those experiences with. It makes all the difference in the world.
It really was a whole new world. No pun intended. I know that's like really on brand. For which, Jackie, if you're watching, because you did ask me that question, like what is like some of your favorite music and songs and what have you, and I can't believe I forgot to even tell you that is like one of my all-time favorite songs is A Whole New World from Aladdin. So. But it was really cool.
that was an incredible experience. The Goofy Sky School was like one of the highlights of the entire day, of a day that had a lot of highlights.
And I would have never thought of that. If someone were to tell me, like, I wonder like what your top experience would be, I never would have thought Goofy Sky School would even have fallen into that category. And
it wouldn't have, but it's just when you go with people that you vibe with and you have fun with, things happen like that. These organic kind of thing. That's what makes Disney very special, you know, is that you can have those experiences, and it all depends on who you go with. So like when you and I go, or you, myself and Jackie go, it's going to be a different experience than if like we were to go with like, say, our mom and our dad, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Or like if we had kids, I mean, well, you do have kids.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? If you go with your kid, it's a different experience. So each thing is like kind of different, you know?
Yeah. And that's what kind of separates Disney from everything else, I feel. Like you could always create memories no matter what you do or where you go, but it always seems like Disney is kind of separate in those tides where it's like you can, and that's exactly what Walt's vision was. It was for everybody, the young and the young at heart,
right,
to all have fun together in various different layers depending on how you customize your vacation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And again, of who you go with.
And who you go with. Exactly, who you go with. And you know, yeah, she made it she really did make the experience, because like I'll tell you right now, she could have took her name badge off, or her name tag, and took her the plaid jacket off and just said, hey, you know what? I'm just going to hang out with you guys. I'm not going to do any more VIP tour guide stuff. And I'm just going to hang out with OG and George. And I would have said, you know what? I'm good with that. Let's do that. Because I genuinely enjoyed her company there.
Yeah.
And I think she brought a lot to the experience, you know?
And it's funny
that says a lot, you know, because
it really does. Yeah, it really does. And being that you said that, so from Goofy Sky School, then we headed over. Jackie and I did Mission Breakout, Monsters After Dark.
Jackie and you again, because, you know, OG's
of course, OG's like, you know, don't want to ruin the evening, you know, possibly, you know, making myself sick or what have you, you know. So OG decided to take a back seat on Mission Breakout.
I didn't want the blood to completely drain from my brain, so I decided not to go on Mission Breakout.
Exactly. So after Mission Breakout, we headed through Avengers Campus, where we rode web slingers. Now it's funny that OG said, you know, Jackie could, you know, take her cast member name tag off, take off the plaid jacket, and just be herself. This is, I think, the pinnacle moment where OG and I was like, okay, like this girl knows how to have fun at Disneyland.
Oh my god!
So
dude.
we board the vehicle, and she's like, "Okay, we're gonna do this. You know, we're gonna get like high scores and everything." And all of a sudden, you see her like she literally took off her plaid jacket so she can kind of like get in that moment, like ready to web sling these spider bots. And OG and I are like, "Dang! Like she's like she's brutal."
She takes off her plaid and she goes, watch out, I do this for a living. I'm like, oh!
Mic drop.
It was so great. I'm telling you, it was so good. And it was like, those kind of moments that we were like cracking up, and like you forget she's a cast member. It's just Jackie. She's the homie, you know? We're like all hanging out, you know? It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun on that.
And again, I don't really care for web slingers.
Me neither.
But actually going on with the two of you, it was fun.
It was fun. It was just... you know, it makes a difference on who you go into these parks. And I'm not going to get into any details, you know, because we've had some bad experiences too, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
But this... But this day, this Oogie Boogie Bash day, was seriously top 5 Disney experiences I've ever had. Ever had?
Me too. Yeah, me too. I have to agree. One of the top 5 Disney experiences, and just like you, OG, I'm not being biased to say this because she was our tour guide and everything, but I could literally say, as far as getting to know a cast member and their personality and their characteristics, I have to say she has been the best cast member that I've ever interacted with in the 25 years I've been going to Disney parks.
Yes, I agree. And here's the thing, and for those of you that have been watching the channel for any amount of time, I'm not one of those content creators that will get up here and say every cast member is magical. Every cast member makes the guest experience wonderful. I don't do that here on OG55 because you know what? I don't think every cast member is wonderful. I got to be honest with you. I think that's a slap in the face for the cast members that go above and beyond. The cast members like Jackie who are A++. Because you know what? To be honest with you, there's a lot of cast members that just phone it in. And if you're a cast member, you have fellow cast members. I don't know the names, whoever, but there's cast members out there that you work with that are not doing what they could be doing. You know what I'm saying? And so we go to the parks a lot, George and I, and we see cast members. Sometimes they're not that great. So I don't believe every cast member is a magic maker. Some are not. Some do not provide good customer service. So when I'm coming here and telling you, because I've been very critical about cast members and stuff, because there have been experiences that have not been so great, to be 100%. So when I come on here and tell you that George is absolutely right, the best Disney experience with a cast member in the 25 years he's been doing it, and for God knows how long I've been doing it. Yes, absolutely. She was the epitome of the Disney difference. I mean, the absolute epitome of the Disney difference, and I'm just being honest.
Actually, we are. And honestly, it's been a while. It's been a while since I could actually say, especially at the parks. Now, on the cruise ships, you still get that Disney difference where, you get that service. But this was still even on a higher scale because, again, it felt more like a friendship rather than just somebody doing their job just to take care of you to make a paycheck. It definitely seemed like Jackie is the way she is because she does what she loves to do.
Yeah, no, I had an absolute blast with her, and I'm telling you right now, Disney, if you're watching this, you make sure you hang on to Jackie because she is the Disney difference. She is the cast member that you use as an example of what other cast members should be doing. Okay, Disney, do not. Yes. You got to keep her. Like, she's amazing and A++ all around. But go on, George. I think after this, we actually ended up watching the parade?
We went to the parade, yeah. So we had front row seats, VIP seating for the parade right across from Ariel's Undersea Adventure.
Right.
And it was my third time seeing the parade because this was my third Oogie Boogie experience. So how did you enjoy the parade? I always enjoy the parade. I love how they incorporate. I love how Oogie Boogie Bash, the difference between Oogie Boogie Bash and Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party down at Walt Disney World is I feel like they infuse so many of the Disney villains.
Right.
So what did you think of the parade?
I thought the parade was very, very good. I thought it was very high quality. I love my favorite actually was the mayor from Nightmare Before Christmas in his little car. And his head turns. I thought that was actually really cool. The floats were really, really high budget, high quality. The music was really cool. I dug it. It was a really high quality, Disney parade. A lot of clever kind of effects, like with the grave diggers with the shovels. They would purposely clank their shovels to make the sparks. I thought that was a cool effect at night. The energy just overall, and just not just for the parade, but just Oogie Boogie Bash in general, the energy is like through the roof. Like everyone's in that kind of party kind of vibe, and it's palpable. So when the parade goes through, people are going crazy. And I really enjoyed it. It was a really, really, really good parade. Now, I will say this, though. I liked the aesthetics of the parade. I didn't necessarily love the music. That's just my thing. I I actually, for music, I prefer Magic Happens. I think Magic Happens is still the GOAT when it comes to soundtracks. That thing is a banger. Okay, that soundtrack will get in your head. I mean, I can listen to that all day. This one was kind of forgettable, the soundtrack.
Okay.
But I think the floats in the Halloween parade were more impressive than Magic Happens. So
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. Because actually, believe it or not, now that you say that, I remember the lyrics to Magic Happens. I can't necessarily remember really any of the music that comes from that parade, so that kind of like really tells you something. You remember, as you said, the aesthetics, you remember the floats, you remember the characters, but you don't necessarily tie the music into like, oh wow, that was like the top-notch type of soundtrack for a parade.
Yeah, I can't really remember much of it. You know what I'm saying? It was very forgettable, the music, but the visuals were there. The visuals were on point with the lighting and the gravediggers and the sparks and all this stuff was really, really cool. The music was just kind of lacking for me. Magic Happens just has a banger soundtrack. It has an absolute banger soundtrack. Actually, you know, speaking of banger soundtracks, hold on. I think I got a little, hold on.
I think you do.
I think if we're gonna do this, man, let's do it. You know. Just a little faith and try and make a little big. One more time. Just a little faith and try and make a little big. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. So yeah, but it was a good parade though. Really, really good parade. It was a fun kind of like Disney Halloween style parade. It wasn't super scary, but it was creepy enough. I dug it. I absolutely dug it.
Yeah. And after the parade, we had a little bit of time to spare. So Jackie had asked us if we wanted to go through some of the treat trails to see maybe some of the villains. Now, I also have to say this again, another compliment, kudos to Jackie. Her time management.
Oh my God.
For the whole entire day, like she knew, like she timed everything in her head. I don't know how she did it, where she almost knew like how long each thing was going to be ready for the next activity.
I like, there were times I'm like, can we really do Indiana Jones before this thing at like 5 or whatever? And like in my head, I'm thinking like, are we going to make it? And Jackie's like, yeah, no problem. And sure enough, right on time. I mean, it was just like incredible, absolutely incredible. We hit so much that day, dude. I mean, it was crazy how much we hit.
We did. And everyone who's watching, you're probably wondering, you know, we're not talking about like the typical, oh, you know, we tried this dessert or we tried this food. You know, a lot of people end up doing that at the Oogie Boogie Bash. You know, we want to talk about like our experiences like throughout the night of like how we moved through the event, because when you're with a VIP tour guide, you, as I said, you basically can do whatever you want, and to kind of sit around and try all different snacks and desserts and everything, it's just not me and OG's niche. You know, we just like, it's just not our thing.
I do want to say too, I forgot to mention this because we talked about, I just want to backtrack just a little bit, but I do want to give him a little bit of a shout out here.
Oh, yes, of course. When we were at Disneyland, we came off of Indiana Jones.
Yes, we came off of Indiana Jones, and there was an Indiana Jones cast member at the exit. I guess I can say, can I say his name? I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Well, I'll say his name because I think okay, here's the thing. He used to actually be a cast member on Web Slingers. And I met him like 2 years ago. We were in line for Web Slingers. And he approached me. His name is Garrett. Really nice guy. And he was a cast member working Web Slingers. This was a couple years ago. And he came up to me and he says, "Hey, are you Orange Grove 55?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I love your content." I'm like, "Oh man, thank you so much." And we had a little conversation. Really, really nice guy. So we get off Indiana Jones at Oogie Boogie Bash that day. And Garrett's at the exit and he's working Indiana Jones. And he goes, "Hey, OG 55. I'm like, "Yeah." And then, you know, George came over and everything. And we were talking to him. It was really, really cool to see Garrett. He's a really, really great guy. And Garrett, if you are watching this, anytime you see either myself or George at the parks, feel free to say hi, man. We love you. If you ever want to come to the channel, you're always welcome. You know, I mean, I know a cast member, you might be, you know, there might be restrictions in regards to what you can talk about and stuff. And we'll respect that. But yeah, it was just really cool to see Garrett again at Indiana Jones. And really nice guy, and yeah, just want to give him a little bit of a shout out, you know, and that's all.
Yeah, awesome, definitely, because he was a great guy. It was the first time I got to meet him,
Yeah,
and I knew of him because I remember you talking about him
yeah,
when you met up with him at Web Slingers. But to actually meet him, very nice guy, very sweet soul.
yeah.
He really is.
And that, I think that's kind of like the theme of like our Oogie Boogie experience is like the friends and the people
The
that we
interactions
right.
that you come across. It's like an event can come and go. You know, a day can come and go, but it's who you spend that time with that
Right.
makes it all the more memorable.
Yeah.
It brings that memory to say, hey, you know what? Do you remember this time? Do you remember that time? It's like, let's go back and reminisce about this. It's like, it's because of who you're with. It's not just because of the day or the event that you're at.
No, exactly. It's the people, the experiences, the memories, you know, and it makes all the difference. But go ahead, brother.
Absolutely.
Let's continue.
Absolutely. So we had some time to stop and see some of the villains at the treat trails. And OG and I knew that we wanted to see Judge Doom, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
because it was like that was like one of our you know moments because he's a brand new villain, uh, you know,
Is he
for Oogie Boogie Bash.
is he a bad guy, George? Would you say he's a bad guy?
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say that's the bad guy.
He's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy, and I have to say again, the casting for these facial performers
Right.
are really spot on. And I do know that they add makeup and prosthetics to kind
Right.
of flesh out the character more, but just the mannerisms, because we were talking about this, there is like actor Christopher Lloyd is very tough to kind of nail down because he has a very type of
Distinctive.
specific bone structure and
Yeah.
facial expression. So it's kind of hard to do. But so the actor that they had was really cool. And of course, you know, it started out, I think, when the event started, like everyone was like, oh no, and kind of booing him when they bring out the sneaker, when he brings
I
out the
know.
sneaker and puts him in the dip. Now people are cheering for it. It's like, oh my God, it's like he's committing murder of a toon right in front of you and you guys are clapping and cheering. It's like, what the heck?
I don't know how anyone could cheer for that shit. That is horrible. That's, I can't even watch it. I mean, I can't. I always had a hard time watching that in the movie. I had an equally hard time watching it live in front of me. It's hard to watch.
Yeah, it is a little bit, and even though it's a prop essentially, but it's like because it's tied to the movie and how
Yeah.
they made the character of the sneaker kind of so cute, and it's like it's
fucked
like
up, dude.
yeah, that's.
It's so
But
messed up.
so anyway, so like that was like our highlighted villain that we wanted to see. And not that it was underwhelming, but it was like, okay, we seen him and we kind of just passed by.
Well, before you go on to the next one, though, I will say this: I do want to give Disney props and kudos for more Roger Rabbit franchise IP stuff in the parks.
Yes.
Roger Rabbit has been like a forgotten franchise for years and years and years. It's really, really refreshing to see like a Judge Doom character from that movie in the parks. I think that's very, very cool. I want to see more Roger Rabbit stuff. I mean, even the Rescue Rangers movie, the recent one that premiered on Disney Plus like a year ago, I think it is, which was actually really, really funny. Check it out if you haven't. But there was a Roger Rabbit cameo in that. They seem to be sort of embracing Roger Rabbit again. So I like that about it. But you're right. In terms of meet and greets, character things, it was visually very cool, but not the best thing at the event, you know?
And you said, and we were talking on the phone, and you had said something that actually makes very much sense because the character of Judge Doom himself isn't really I forget the word you used. He wasn't like a interconnected type of character where he interacts with the characters. He's basically just kind of like stone cut and dry type of.
Yeah, he's a very dry, dark character. And so there's only so much you can do with that. Like if you were to have Hades from Hercules, it's like just never-ending jokes and banter and the whole thing, right? That's the character. Judge Doom is just a dark dude. Like there's only so much you can do with that. And visually it looks dope. I like that idea that you brought Roger Rabbit into the parks again. That's dope.
Yeah.
but again, like in terms of interaction with guests, it's a lot harder, you know?
Yeah. And I will have to say, I do give Disney kudos as well for taking a risk on Judge Doom, and especially for the act of kind of the disintegration of a tune on stage, because like that could have went either way. And I give Disney kudos for kind of stepping out of their comfort zone a little bit, and not just doing that cookie cutter kind of sugary type of thing. And that's how why I appreciate Oogie Boogie Bash, is because they take those boundaries a little bit over Mickey and Minnie's Not So Scary. So I'm going to kind of forward a little bit to another villain that we've seen, because the two we wanted to see were the two new ones. And for crying out loud, I keep on forgetting his name. The villain from Big Hero 6.
Oh, I think it's like Yokai, if I'm not mistaken.
Yokai or something.
Yeah.
So we were briefly just passing by San Francisco, and it was like, out of everybody, he was like the most underwhelming of the characters. Like the visual of the costume was cool, but the voice threw me off. It sounded like he was like, I don't know, it just didn't fit.
It was funny though, like for some reason, and I don't think you and Jackie really like thought it was so funny. I don't know why I did, but like when we walked past him and he was pointing at like one of the cast members and he said, "Do better," or something. The cast member did something. I don't know what they did, but he pointed at them and said, "Do better. Do better." And then the voice, it was just, I don't know, I thought it was hilarious for some reason. But you're right though. I mean, he was kind of underwhelming. He looks really cool. Like, I'm super into Japanese culture and all that stuff, and I like that stuff. I like the way he looks. Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of, see, that's the thing though. He's kind of like a Judge Doom. Yeah. It's like there's only so much you can do with that guy, you know? And
because here's the thing, if you really think of it, when you go back and watch the movie Big Hero 6, he didn't really have too many lines. He was silent most of the movie until at the very end when it reveals who he really is.
Right.
You know, so there's not too much you could really go on with that. So the reason why I forward to the third villain that we saw is so we can go back to number 2, because the number 2 villain that we decided to see literally blew our expectations. And it's a villain you would never really think that would be so entertaining. And I'll let you take this one, OG.
Oh, okay. No, it's Madam Mim from Sword and Stone, which again I give Disney credit for, because Sword and Stone isn't exactly a poppin' franchise right now. Okay, it's not exactly like a hot thing. I mean, and to be fair to Disney, I mean, they've been kind of incorporating these kind of like these low key kind of franchises lately. I mean, I know there's a Sword and the Stone float in Magic Happens. That surprised the hell out of me when that happened. Mm-hmm. And now we have Madam Mim at Oogie Boogie Bash. We have Judge Doom. So it seems like they're kind of incorporating these characters and these franchises that have been kind of dormant for a while. Thank you, Disney, because I think that is kind of cool to see that. Everything doesn't have to be Frozen or Toy Story. So that's cool. Madam Mim, though, I don't know who the gal was who played her, obviously. The voice was spot on. Like, we were all turning to each other going, oh my God, she sounds just like Madam Mim from the movie. The banter between her and the guests were hilarious. She would talk to little kids and say, hey, come back. I'll teach you a tantrum spell and you can get whatever you want. It works wonders. Fucking funny, dude. I was cracking up. She was so good. We literally
stood there for like a good 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like just watching her perform and interact with everybody. And I think the one moment was when a guest walked up to her. She was dressed up as a princess, I believe.
Yeah.
And she made a comment like something about her dress or her being like royalty or something. Right. And she was like, that is all. You can go. You know, like in that sense. And it was just like, as you said, OG, like her mannerisms, her voice, the overall look to her. I mean, she was an A+ villain. And honestly, Disney, if you're watching, you need to keep those cast members because they are phenomenal at what they do. And honestly, you need to keep Madam Mim for Oogie Boogie Bash because she is very entertaining, and it kind of breaks away from that so seriousness of a villain. It's like a villain could also be very funny, charismatic, and playful as well.
Yeah. No, she was fantastic. She was really, really cool. It's a deep cut kind of character now. A lot of kids don't even know that movie. So I was really impressed Disney went there with it. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really, really cool and funny as hell. Absolutely. So then after that, I think, okay, so after that, I believe.
Then we
so,
went.
Okay.
No, I'll wait till you say because I might be forgetting something.
Yeah, and we might not have the exact chain of events. I mean,
Right.
and that's fine. We can always go back. But like, I believe after that, because we had the VIP tour, right? So we actually had like food credits. Like I think it was like 40 for each of us, and we haven't really used them that much, And so Jackie was like, you guys should probably eat, So she got, when we were watching the parade, she ended up getting at Cars Land this like spicy mac and cheese. And she comes back after the parade and she said, you guys, the spicy mac and cheese is so good, right? It's so good. And I'm like,
and us being Italians, all you have to say is anything with spice, and we're in.
I'm in, dude. I love spicy food. I got a funny story actually about spicy food from last night. And nothing to do with Disney. Well, I'll tell at the end of the video. But so she was really saying, hey, I think you guys will like it. And basically it's like a bread cone with like mac and cheese inside, and like the topping just seems like crushed hot Cheetos or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we went over to Cars Land, we got those bad boys, and I'm telling you, man, those things were so good. If I could DoorDash that, I would do that every single day. I'm telling you, that was so good.
It was.
I loved it.
Really good.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Which they ended up making a slight error. They didn't know that we wanted 2 spicy mac and cheeses, and they ended up giving us a regular bacon one. And here comes my sarcasm. So Jackie hands me the bacon one. And I said, I'll hold it. I'll wait for the spicy one to come out. She hands me my drink, which I got a Coke. And then she gets the spicy mac and cheese. She then turns to hand it to me, and I already have 2 things in my hand. And I said, "You're serious right now, aren't you?" Aren't you? It's like, really? You're handing me a third? And she just rolled with the bunges. Like it was just like I forget what her comment was when she said afterward, but she like snapped back. It was like, "You're serious, right? Like you're handing me."
It's so funny.
She said something in the nature of, "Here, how about I take this one and then you take this?" I was like, "Yeah, that's much better."
We felt so comfortable with her. Like I really did most of the time forget she was a cast member. I'm like, she's our friend, and I felt like I knew her forever. It's like so crazy
because I wouldn't really talk that way to a cast member,
right?
I'd be afraid to.
I know it was just different. It was just different. Like I think we just had a fun time. The 3 of us, the chemistry there was like, it was really, really cool. And so I think so we had those, and then I'm like, I told, we got to get to Villains Grove, but before we do that, because that was, dude, Villains Grove was amazing. But so I told you guys, you and Jackie, I said, okay, you know what? I got a man up here, right? I'm gonna do the Incredicoaster. We're gonna do this tonight, okay? So I think we were gonna do it, but it ended up being shut down.
Right, correct.
So we ended up going to Villains Grove, which we'll review that in a second because that involves a lot of time. Because
we went on Radiator Springs Racers a second time.
Again, right? And
this time we did it at night, and Radiator Springs Racers at night is already phenomenal. But during Oogie Boogie Bash, they light up Ornament Valley with this green and purple lighting, and it's like it's phenomenal,
amazing. And so and then Incredicoaster was closed, so we couldn't do that. And then we go to the Villains Grove thing. Okay, right. Now the Villains Grove thing, this is a beautiful experience, and you kind of touched upon it, George. Like going into it, you said they what villains are there, but they don't really show you the villains. It's like very artful in how they do it. You go through the Redwood Creek Challenge. There's a lot of fog, and there's projections and lighting. It's absolutely gorgeous, and there's hints of these villains, like like the Cheshire Cat and things like that. But they don't outright show you these characters. It's done in such an artful, fun, gorgeous way. Like I'm walking through this, I think I turned to Jackie and I said, "This is beautiful." Like with the lights and the trees and the whole thing, I fell in love with Villains Grove. Mm-hmm. I absolutely fell in love with it. So that was what do you think? Now you've been there before.
I have.
Obviously. So, I mean, but like, are you a big fan of Villains Grove?
I am a fan of it. And it hasn't really changed as much for the 3 times that I have done it.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that. Like it's for me, I think it's perfect the way it is. I love how it's like an sort of like a nighttime art deco type of experience where it's not that typical the villains are in your face and you see them, but you hear like the background music, like when you get to Scar's section you hear the Be Prepared, and you see
and
the
then the
hyenas
smoke.
the smoke popping up, and you see the silhouette of the hyenas marching, and then you, as you mentioned, the Cheshire Cat, and you see all these purple and blue speckled lights all over the trees, and then you see Dr. Facilier, like the image on the ground with like all the voodoo magic and everything with his friends on the other side and what have you. But it was done in a very tasteful way where it takes you into a mind space where it's you have to let your imagination kind of take over to really think to know what you're actually looking at, because you really don't know what you're looking at. So you have to kind of surmise to say, okay, here's these little hints of these villains. So I'm assuming, okay, this is Maleficent's lair, and this is like part of the Forbidden Mountain, because you see like all the smoke and the green flame and what have you.
Well, now our friend, collaborator on the channel, host of Story Geeks here on the channel, Jay Shear, we talk a lot about stuff where it's like what makes things like scary, what works, right? And I think we even talked about it recently on one of the Ahsoka episodes that we do every week, where like sometimes when it comes to like a bad guy, when you see the whole bad guy, it's not as scary as if like you just hear the bad guy and like you don't know where the bad guy is, right? So it's like you just hear Darth Vader breathing, but you can't see him. It's sometimes more scary than having a Vader just standing there like out in the open, right?
Correct.
So that's what was very brilliant about Villains Grove, was like you don't see them necessarily, but their essence is there. Their voice is like mixed in with the sound and the music. And so it just works so good. I mean, it's a beautiful, it's an art piece. It really is an art piece. I felt like you can go to like, you can go to these places, Getty Museum and things like that, right? And kind of experience things. And like, I could see something like that being at one of those, right? Recently, we went to, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I went to a thing called the Lavender Festival. Okay, it was far. It was like 2 or 3 hours from where I'm at. But they kind of do a similar thing where they put a bunch of lights in the trees and they kind of like play music and things like that. It's very artsy, and that's kind of what this reminded me of, a Halloween version of that. And I absolutely loved it. I think it was so well done, so well done. My only disappointment with Villains Grove is they had a lot of great villains, but they didn't have the big baddie Brian Roberts. I mean, come on, you guys. You got to have the Comcast CEO in there somewhere. What, Bob Iger, come on, get on that, buddy. Get on it, dude.
Oh, my gosh.
No, but it was really, really cool. So after Villains Grove, I believe our Incredicoaster, I think Jackie looked at her phone and she's like, hey, it's back up.
It's back up.
That's when OG's heartbeat went into his pinky toe. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
It's back up.
It's
great.
Cool. It's like, I'm kind of second guessing my life choices here for a moment.
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, so we went over to the Incredicoaster, and that was interesting. I've never been on the Incredicoaster per se. I've been on California's Screamin', but not since the re-theme. It's interesting. Obviously, the coaster is the same. It's the launch that bothers me the most. It's not even the loop, to be honest with you. The loop is like kind of weird, but whatever. It's the launch. That launch is like, woof. It's really, really intense. Yeah. But I got through it. It wasn't terrible. Like it wasn't like it wasn't as bad. I'll tell you this, George. It wasn't as bad as Cosmic Rewind.
That I could definitely, because when you came off, you were okay, you were fine, you went on. Cosmic Rewind, you were a little out of it afterwards.
Dude, that was like, well, and plus I was like nursing a head injury from the day before. It was I was in a weird place, and I'm not into that kind of stuff to begin with, super intense. Yeah. It was just weird.
And I know it was like a challenge for you, but I am glad that you were still able to experience, because that way, even though it's not your cup of tea, but at least that you experienced it where you can give your opinion on it, where you can, because of your experience.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No regrets. No regrets because.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No, just to say, I would rather ride it and say, hey, it's not for me, than not do it and not know.
Not know. Yeah. So we actually did Villains Grove first before we did the mac and cheese over at Tarzan. And the reason why is, and I bring this up because this, again, another little funny moment that we have right after, because when the cast member made the mistake of giving us an extra bacon mac and cheese, I ended up eating both of them. And literally right after we were done eating those, that's when Incredicoaster went up. And I told Jackie, I said, oh, so you fed me 2 mac and cheese cones, and now you're going to take me on the Incredicoaster. There's a brilliant idea.
Oh, so good. It was so good. No, it was so funny, man. And you're right. She was like playing with us. Like, I think when we went on the Incredicoaster, she was like making fun of me, like saying like there was like a 6-year-old that went on a Mission Breakout. You can do this one or something like that.
Oh yeah. She has a quote, and I forget how she says it, where something like with the experience or what have you. And I forget what it was, but and there's one more really good funny moment. I mean, there was many funny moments.
The whole day was hilarious and so much fun.
I remember that when we were actually, well, 2 of them I remember. The first one was when we were in line for Radiator Springs Racers the second time, where it's like we were talking about something where it was like, and her and I said like the potato, tomato sort of thing, and like we were like high-fiving, and it was like, oh my gosh, it's like to actually be friends with somebody during that day, to actually know my kind of sarcasm is like beyond me. Because I'm telling her I used to be an introvert, now I'm an extrovert, now people don't know how to shut me up, and then you add on, it's like we can't find the button, and it's like
I'm telling you, we were really impressed with Jackie, and I know we've been going on and on about her, but I don't know.
But it's because that she was a big impact on the day. And she was part of each moment. It wasn't where it was like, okay, I'll send you guys off, I'll meet you back here. It's like she incorporated herself with us to have fun.
Right.
And that's what was the experience. And the second one was, she was in the middle of saying something, and I'm kind of notorious because I have something on my mind. So I kind of just say it, and I end up kind of interrupting her, and I apologized, and I said, I'm so very sorry for interrupting you. And she kind of lost her train of thought, and I said, I forget, you forgot, it always happened to me, or something like that. And it didn't like register in her head. And she went, wait, okay, I couldn't compute that. Can you run that by me one more time? It's like, and it was just, and I know that we're kind of like rambling on with this, and everyone watching, you're probably like, okay, I'm not like fully understanding this, but that's the point. You had to actually be there to know what that full experience was of just people, loving what we're doing, and that's being in Disneyland, hanging out, and just having fun.
That's the thing too, is like because a lot of people will never come in contact with Jackie as a guide, right? So, but the overall message, I think, of like the overall thing that I kind of walked away with, and what the audience can walk away with, is that Disneyland and Disney experiences in general are very much based on the people that you're with. And you're with some good people, and it's gonna be a really memorable experience. It sounds super cheesy, I know, but it is though. It is. I'll never forget the Boogie Bash that we did with Jackie, because she made it so special, and it felt like a friend. And I consider her a friend. I do. I consider her a friend.
I do,
and we ride or die for Jackie, and Jackie, you're always welcome on the channel. I mean, I know you're a guide and all that. I know you're super restricted as to what you can actually talk about, but if you ever want to come on OG55, you have family here. You could definitely come on. We could talk shop with you. It'd be fantastic. We would love to, but we had a great time with her, and she was such a big part of that experience, and we appreciate her and what she did for us, and just her being her, just Jackie being Jackie,
Exactly.
So.
And we did make a little promise to her that we are going to say this on the channel, that for anyone who is interested in doing a Disneyland VIP tour. Doesn't necessarily have to be for Oogie Boogie Bash. You can do it for those kind of special events, but you could just have a regular day at the resort. Whether you're going to the parks or the resorts, you can have a personal VIP tour guide with you to help set up your day and customize. So if you have that opportunity and you can request Jackie, we highly recommend it. You will not be disappointed.
No, you won't. This is George's first VIP tour, right? I believe, George?
Correct. Yes.
I've had a few before because I told you, I mean, my sister is a member. And so I've had tours before. It's different. It's different. It was different every single time. Now, not to say those other cast members were bad. They weren't bad. They were all very friendly. They did everything they were supposed to do. But Jackie was a friend. And I felt like we were hanging out with a friend. It was different. It felt different. And maybe that was just our experience. Maybe we just had good chemistry, all of us. I don't know.
It's possible.
But we had a blast with her. So I would highly recommend to my audience, if you ever get a chance to do a VIP tour, at least ask for Jackie. At least
try for it. But I could kind of see that, like, it's because, like, we had that personality, so she felt comfortable. Maybe like with everybody else, when they get her, she's like, "Welcome to hell."
Yeah. No. It just maybe it depends on the person. Personalities are different.
Yeah, the personality, and I think you have to, being a tour guide, not just Jackie. That you have to customize yourself to react to who you are essentially touring and catering to. So I think she just felt more comfortable with us because we were so down to earth and sarcastic and playful. So she felt like she could be herself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I felt myself around her, and you felt yourself around. Like, absolutely. We just felt very comfortable, and it was just great. So yeah, so we're gonna close it out, but I just want to say again a huge thank you to Jackie. Disney, seriously, you have an absolute gem when it comes to Jackie. Okay, absolute gem. Take care of Jackie. The OG crew absolutely loves Jackie. But a great time. My first experience at Boogie Bash was amazing. I will definitely be doing it again. Definitely. I was surprised actually for an upcharge event, just how fucking packed it was. It felt like a normal DCA day, and each one of those people paid to get in there. Like it was packed in there. It wasn't like, I thought like Boogie Bash would feel a little more sparse because it's an upcharge thing. I didn't think it was going to be like just as busy as a normal day. I mean, it was packed.
And I think each year that goes by, the word gets out, and the more and more it gets popular. So I feel like that because when the tickets went on sale, it crashed the server. And they had to readjust a different date. And think about this, OG, that every single ticket sold out for the entire season of the Oogie Boogie Bash event in one day.
It's crazy, dude.
Like, that's like mind-blowing. And that's how popular that Oogie Boogie Bash is. And I think, honestly, as time goes on, they add new treat trails, they add new villains, they add new experiences. It's just going to keep growing and getting more popular, that it's just going to be much harder to get tickets. But I mean, any opportunity I can, I love doing that event.
Yeah.
And again, thanks to Jackie, I would probably do it again with her any day, anywhere, anytime, in a heartbeat, because she's just fun to be around, fun to hang out with. And it was just a great time. And Disney, if you are also listening, I have a little suggestion maybe for next year's villain, now that we're on to it. I think a perfect villain for a treat trail, because a lot of those villains are facial recognition characters where they verbally talk with you.
So Brian Roberts.
Brian Roberts. Yeah, there you go. Yes. Well, actually, the character is pretty close. That over at Pixar Pier, maybe over by the Incredicoaster, Disney, you could have Syndrome.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah,
I think that would be kind of. So, Brian Roberts, kind of, a roundabout.
Well, kind of, right? Because like it was, they both kind of have chips on their shoulders. Because remember, Brian Roberts tried to acquire Disney back in like 2005, right?
Right.
And he was unsuccessful, and then Bob Iger took over. So it was like one of those things where it's like he's got a chip on his shoulder. Syndrome was a big fanboy, he got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. And as Syndrome always, as he quoted in the movie, when everybody's super, then no one will be.
Yes, exactly. And that's my thing with the cast members. That's why I'm honest. Like sometimes our cast members, sometimes this is not a good. Like we had the Cafe Orleans experience like a few months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not so good.
Not so
right?
Good, no.
We were with Dre and Mindy and what have you. We didn't have a good experience. We didn't. I think Wizard was there too. So we have to be like I think we have to all be honest, right? Like when we don't have a good experience, because I think that it doesn't do service to the people like Jackie who go above and beyond to just say they're all perfect. No, they're not all perfect. The service we got at Cafe Orleans was not perfect. It was not good. So it's not okay, you know. And to like lump them all together and say, yeah, they're all the same, they're all magical, is doing a disservice to the people that go above and beyond.
Yeah.
So you go above and beyond. I'm telling you, I am the biggest fanboy. If I have a cast member who's just crushing it, you know, I will get on here. I do pretty much every single time I go to Disneyland. I do a cast compliment, because there's always at least one person that's like stands out. You know, I'll do a cast compliment. You know, I'll do everything. I'll go out of my way to make sure Disney knows, hey, that cast member is top notch. You know, the good cast members, I want Disney to know that. But like, look, I'm not going to also sugarcoat it. If we have a bad cast member, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say
And you have to be honest, because you have to hold them to that standard, because then there's no way to fix it. You know, they just assume like, okay, then they could just be the way that they are. And it's like Disney needs to know, coming from the guests for a guest experience, you know, you can have a not so good cast member experience, or you could have a phenomenal cast member experience like we did with Jackie. And also, speaking of Cafe Orleans, if you do want to have a good experience at Cafe Orleans, if he is there, request for Oscar, folks.
Yeah, no, exactly. Oscar is great. Oscar, you're the man. Yeah, he's really, really good. We love Oscar. And that's the thing, too, here on OG55. Like, if we do have a bad experience with a cast member, we're not going to say their name. We're not going to put anybody out there like that. But we do have experiences now and then where it's not so great, you know, unfortunately. So, but George, it was a phenomenal day at Oogie Boogie Bash. First time, I absolutely loved it. Absolutely crushed it. You know, I want to thank you, brother, for coming in on that journey with me. I want to thank Jackie, if you're watching. I want to thank you, Jackie, for everything you did. Jackie, just, you know, awesome all around. But yeah, really, really good time. But George, if you could let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, my fellow Italiano.
Thank you. Forget about it. And I do want to say thank you, OG, for inviting me. It was really nice of you. And thank you to your sister also, too. Unfortunately, even though she wasn't able to join us, but you know, it was still because of her to be able to have that experience that we did with Jackie and what have you. So I thank you both for thinking of me and inviting me.
No, absolutely. If it wasn't for my sister, like I'm like like, you know, I never get to experience any of this stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like my sister's like she has all that, and it's really, really cool. And I really feel intensely appreciative towards anytime she can get us into any of this stuff. It's awesome. So again, thanks to my sister for that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, folks, if you want to find me on social media, you could do so on X at Disney George. You could check out the podcast I'm part of called A Walk with Walt. And of course, you'll find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Absolutely. Here, you know what? What do we got here? Let's see here. I'm trying to find something that's like kind of spooky. Oh man, I don't know. What's a good one? Oh damn, I don't really have one. There we go. Whatever.
I mean, actually, if you're in the wrong back alley and you hear that, that's pretty spooky.
That's funny, dude. That's funny. But thank you all.
Before you close this out, OG. But yeah, if you want to. You know, as Oogie Boogie Bash is getting more popular and they're hiding up, you know, the expectations, and if you know, to add like a tour guide on that, there is one thing that you can do to make that experience worthwhile, and I think you know what that is, OG.
Oh, we talking money?
I think we're talking money.
Give me